possible. Analysts warn that the concept's vagueness allows investors to shape narratives highlighting success rather than playing shortcomings. In some cases, this flexibility shifts power towards investors, leaving entrepreneurs and beneficiaries accountable to financial expectations rather than social realities. Evidence from emerging markets, including Nigeria, suggests that entrepreneurs may lose independence as investor priorities take center stage. For Africa, impact investing presents both opportunity and risk. On one hand, it unlocks capital for critical sectors, healthcare, agriculture, education, and clean energy. On the other hand, it raises questions about control. Who defines impact? Who benefits most? And whose priorities shape development? As states and development institutions increasingly rely on private capital, there may also be ceding influence, allowing financial market to play a central role in shaping public good. At its core, impact investing is a hybrid model, blending public purpose with private profit. But this hybrid raises critical questions. Can markets truly deliver social justice? Does measuring impact improve outcomes or simply repackage them? And is this a solution or a restructuring of global power? Impact investing represents one of the most ambitious ideas in modern finance, the belief that capital can do good and do well. But as this model expands across Africa and beyond, the challenge remains, ensuring that impact is not just promised, but truly delivered.
My name is Ali Young. I'm with the Gamehers, which is a social media tech platform for women in video games. And we're here in Nigeria today. Glad to be here. People are just absolutely lovely. The food is fantastic, and looking forward to getting out of the hotel and conference and seeing much more. For me, I'm a gamer. I met my husband playing video games 20 years ago, and it actually is something that has been part of my lifestyle. Family time is spent with my daughter and my husband playing video games. We've met online friends in person, gone on vacations with them. They were part of our wedding. It's really been just an amazing connection point and social point for us. And so when I had the opportunity to work with the Gamehers, it really became home to me, right? Because it's with people who are very like-minded and an amazing community. Yes, so the Gamehers, social media tech platform for women in the video game industry, creators, game devs, entrepreneurs. And for us, we are a safe space where people can connect. Something that you and I spoke about earlier around, playing video games and feeling the pressure to be good at it and wanting to, and kind of the toxicity around the online culture a little bit. Because it is a little bit male-dominated, right? And I feel like the Gamehers was built around that. In fact, I remember the very first gaming conference that I went to, and literally it was a room that had about 200 people, and there were 3 women, including myself. And I thought, we have to do better, right? I mean, I play video games. I have friends that play video games who are women, and I feel like it's extremely important for us to spread that message that it is okay to play video games as a female. Additionally, Gen A, Gen Z, 98% of the younger generations are playing video games now, right? They don't identify as gamers like people who go to movies don't identify as movieists, right? And so it's just a part of their life. And what's interesting is that even though there are 3.2 billion gamers globally, and half of those are women, we're still underrepresented in the professional esports world, in game development, and leadership positions. So it was New Year's Eve, and I had busted my knee. I was living in Colorado. I busted my knee skiing, and so there I was at home for the very first time, doing nothing on New Year's Eve, and I thought to myself, maybe I'll go check out this game, right? And so I jumped on this video game and had my knee propped up, having a drink and just relaxing. And I see online a chat that there was this giveaway for an online New Year's Eve party. And I thought to myself, this is the lamest thing I have ever seen in my life. I will never share this story out loud. And I went to this online New Year's Eve party where they were giving away free stuff and in-game free stuff, right? And so I'm in there, and it was player versus player games, so people could attack each other and kill each other in the game. And so as I was standing there, this guy jumped this other guy, slayed him in the game, and the dead player dropped gear, and you could rename it. And so this guy picks up the gear like a serial killer, brands it so-and-so's Baldric, and I thought it was hilarious, and that was my husband, now husband. So he's not a serial killer though, so that's good. I'll share this with you. So the Game Hers, since its inception in 2020, we created a platform where we celebrate women through the Game Hers Awards. And we had it had been virtual through COVID, and we had our first live Game Hers Awards in Atlanta in March 1 to kick off Women's History Month. And we had a room full of 300 people, women and their allies, where we celebrated their contributions to other women in gaming and inclusivity. And it was incredible to just see people who haven't met in person. I mean, if you think about how you work with people now, and remote life is so prevalent. I mean, you think about how you meet people online now anyway, right? And then when you meet them in person, that relationship just escalates and just gets even better. And so the Game Hers provides that space to be able to do that, right? We have an online community. We provide opportunities to meet in person through a lot of different events. Much like Dunhill Ventures brings together, they bring together family offices and investors to connect and create networks and create relationships. That's what the Game Hers does. Video games has become the new media. When you look at live streaming, when you look at content creation, there's such a big piece of that's entertainment. And as a person who plays video games, you get to do both, right? If you go to a restaurant now or a bar, you see concepts where there's axe throwing, there's things you can do, play golf, right? Video gaming is just a lifestyle piece of that. I think that it's just become normalized. I mean, my daughter's generation, she's 17. She's been playing video games since she was 2, right? And whether that's learning video games and educational video games, or it's Call of Duty. I mean, she plays them all, and she tries them. A lot of times it's her friend group. Her friends like to play video games as well, and so they do that together. Sometimes in person, with their computers next to each other, or on consoles, and sometimes that's just online. So I think we all play games. I mean, if you played soccer when you were younger, or football, right? If you played basketball or sports, we compete all the time, right? Leaderboards, points, things like that. I mean, everything is a game. And so I think that the Game Hers provides a place where women who play video games can connect, and that's the beauty of it. So I was actually in Riyadh when I met the Dunhill Ventures Group, and they invited us to come out to Lagos. It was an opportunity. I was supposed to be at South by Southwest this week, and ended up canceling all my travel plans. Told the team, I was like, I am going to stay in Riyadh for a couple of days and then go straight to Lagos, because the opportunity here is vast. The demographics in this region and in Africa has the youngest, the youngest demographics. Gen A, Gen Zs, 98% are gamers, and so the population is intrinsically part of our group. However, organically, our 10% of our international community is in Nigeria. And that has just been organic. We haven't done any programming here. We haven't done any events. It's just people finding us online and connecting with our team, with our community. So we are the Game Hers. That's TheGamehers. On all socials, and thegamehers.com. Please download our app. It's tgh.app, and it can be downloaded on Apple, Google, and we're also on desktop as well. And connect with us. Our community, not surprisingly, is very inclusive. While we focus on women and we are femme-based, we do have non-binaries and femme-identifying peoples, and also our allies who are men and male. So you stand to gain an amazing community of like-minded people, find your tribe, find people to play games with, find people to learn from, as well as opportunities for education, on career development, and entrepreneurship. Absolutely. So we partner with a lot of game developers. We are not a game developer, but we provide opportunities for women in game development, as well as Riot Games is one of our early investors, and a big partner. Also I play a lot of their games too. It's a big perk to get in the alpha stages and get to try out different games. But we have opportunities for women to even, our Discord channel, for example, has game nights, right? Where women get to try out different games, whether that's a mobile game or even a party game from Jackbox Games. There are different things that we use to connect and leverage through video games. I see there's a lot of there had been. I feel like it's starting to shift the other way. there had been, you hear stories about gamers who play too much, and I think I read a story about someone who played too long and died of seizures. I mean, that's probably the extreme, right? And let's be transparent and talk about it, because I think that as a parent myself, balance is everything. But however, in order to get good at anything, I mean, you have to spend the 10,000 hours, right? And so I actually told my daughter that I wanted her to play at least 2 hours a day because, I mean, to me, if you're actually going to get good, then why would you limit yourself, right? But you have to do it in a healthy manner. You have to take breaks, you have to stretch, you have to eat, you have to do all these things and keep your health going. I mean, just like in any sport. Gaming has been shown to teach our children and to teach ourselves mental acuity, hand-eye coordination, problem solving, which I feel doesn't happen enough. But gamers have to learn how to lose, which is also something that doesn't happen enough, and also the grit to keep going, right? And so I think there are a lot of very good benefits to gaming, just as well as negative things, just as well as anything else. We are very focused this year on our international growth, and this is part of it. If you're connecting with us, join our community, get to know the people and connect with the people first, and then find affinities to the different games that you want to play. There's so many different kinds of games. There's a game for everyone.
Every time you spend money, you make a decision, not just about what you buy, but about the kind of economy you want to build. When you support a local business, you help create jobs, you help families earn, you help communities grow. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. They reinvest in our neighborhoods. They create opportunity close to home. Before you click buy or choose where to shop, pause and ask, is there a local option? Because strong local businesses mean stronger cities. Stronger cities mean a stronger nation. Support local. Build the future. This message is brought to you in the interest of economic growth and national development.
In 1957, just a greenhorn leaving school and looking for a job, going into broadcasting was something that I dreamt of. But that's only meant going into radio, because my old school, Holy Child College, still on the same site in Obalende, 2 streets away from the old NBC. I still can't forgive whoever changed the name to something else that is being called now FRCN. Because if the BBC remains BBC 100 years after the founding fathers, dreamt of starting television, radio from, all the war years, learning a bit from America all started from America. Because we were taught about all this. Every time they took us from school to take part in, uh, schools debates on radio, we just walked across. It's all in Obalende and Ikoyi, Balende/Ikoyi. So I dreamt of doing something along the line. And then one of my teachers left us high and dry and went to be a news reader on radio. Marie Tabio, who later became Mrs. Irikefe. Then we had people like Tung Adedoyin and SOUQ. We used to listen to them on radio on the old, you wouldn't know anything about that now, the rediffusion. It was just, a little box in your home, and everybody looked forward to either listening to the 7 o'clock news in the morning or 6 o'clock or 7 in the evening. So that was all all I had to do with broadcasting. And who was going to take me there was another matter altogether. Who would take you, little 16, 17-year-old girl, into broadcasting? But one had been bitten by the bug then. So, and only God knows where whatever dream you had was going to lead to. We read poetry, we did radio show, stage shows in school. Catholic schools were very good for that. And my old school, just celebrating 150 years of its existence, just down the road from here on Broad Street. The nuns, they were all white nuns. No Nigerian nuns at the time that we were growing up. So all the dream they had, this kind of dream that we have now, going to England, but they were coming here to teach us. So I had learnt a lot of poetry. I had taken part in Festival of Arts, and I had gone to the biggest hall we had then was at King's College, which is also down the road. Means of transportation was your SS foot. No BRT, no bicycles or whatever. So we did it all just walking around and learning from our teachers. And of course, our mentors were the nuns, like I said. So in my wildest dream, there was no way that I was thinking of going into anything like broadcasting. That is going back to answer your question. But they had a lot of plans for the girl child. And not along the religious lines now. But actually, they came to actually engender this whole idea of pushing the girl child forward. And not just me, a lot of us. People like Mrs. Francesca Emmanuel, they also went through the whole gamut of all this dream that I'm talking about. Television itself was brand new in the world. I have to talk about radio because that was what I knew as a child. But television, when it started, we didn't even know. Maybe in America, and then it went to Australia, and then to France. No. France came after Nigeria. You wouldn't believe that, would you? That we were number 6. America, Britain, Germany, Australia, one other country, and coming now home to Nigeria, where you cannot help but give a lot of credit to the dreams of people like late Chief Obafemi Awolowo and one of his ministers then, Chief Anthony Enahoro. So that's how I believe this whole package was placed on their laps and sold to Nigeria, to the Western Nigeria government. On the radar were lots of other people like me who had dreams about becoming Miss Nigeria. So maybe that will now give you a little background about how I took part in the Miss Nigeria pageant, Western Nigeria, and I became Miss Western Nigeria. Somebody must have fine-tuned some little knots somewhere and said, okay, you probably might be able to deliver. Because you are being interviewed when you go before the panel of judges. And somebody must have said, okay, that's a good material. You can come and take part in this. Before then, we had other people, Anike Agbaje Williams, Oliola Sokwe, who were working on radio. My dream was to work in radio, but then I missed that. And I was nursing, that dream of still going to radio. Never knew what television was all about. So maybe that answers your question. I'm not sure. But I took part in the Miss Western Nigeria pageant and I won. Took part in the Miss Nigeria contest and came second. So that meant that I didn't win. And if one of the, maybe the prize was to go on TV, it wasn't even there. It wasn't written into the, program that whoever did this, but the person was going to go to England. And so Helena Yemeluna, who won that contest, went to London and fulfilled her own dream. But I was still biting my nails, waiting for when I'll be able to get a job. There were other things that girls could do. You could be a nurse, you could be a teacher, you could be an assistant, a dental assistant. All those were things that young ladies, can, fulfill their dreams along those lines. They're still there. You still have young ladies. Mrs. Muritala Muhammad, the first time I met her, she was a dental assistant. Little did we know that her husband was going to be the head of state and she would be first. So you see, lots of things were there for the young girl who wanted to learn, who had the talent, and who wanted to perform, and who wanted to work hard. But now I don't know if girls want to work hard. All they want is, the table to be set, and then they come and, partake of whatever is there. It wasn't too difficult at the time that I was picked as one of the people to come and appear on WNTV. The audition was actually carried out before my time. I got involved in so many other things, trying to get a job, something to secure, something, to alleviate poverty. There was not too much poverty in Nigeria at the time because people could still make a living for themselves and, get by in society. But I was lucky that I had an aunt who was a nurse in the hospital in Ibadan, UCH in Ibadan. And she was married to an Englishman, and the man's friend happened to have been the man, Mr. Mathers, who was brought as one of the technical partners to WNTV. So we met at a dinner party, and just as you and I are chatting, I was only 18 plus. I was 17 when I took part in the pageant. But by this time, I was growing up, and I thought I was a big girl. So I opened my mouth, and I said a few things. And the man looked at me and said, "How come you are not speaking with a Nigerian accent?" And I didn't know what he meant because we were taught at St. Mary's to deliver whatever lines we were given to deliver. The Festival of Arts, I came second after an English boy from Corona School. And I was given a beating for coming second. Not because I didn't perform well, but because I forgot to curtsy. And one of the judges, I think, who was then Mrs. Abayomi, Lady Abayomi, said that I delivered my lines very well. So I was the Lord of Tartary. I would do this and that and the other. So I came second. And when I got back to the school, the nun, Sister Marieta, said, "You were not paying attention." So whatever you do in life, you have to be consistent. You have to perform well. The way we're trying to do now, we were trying to project your voice and whatever it is you have to offer with a lot of humility, not trying to show off or to project your own image, or whatever message you have to deliver. You have to make sure that It is well delivered. The following year, St. Mary's Convent School, which is my old school, which is 150 years old in existence, went to the same King's College Hall, and we beat a lot of secondary schools. We came first. Pied Piper of Hamelin. Have you ever heard of that poetry? Pied Piper of Hamelin was about someone who wanted to get rid of all the rats in Europe. And all he did was to play the pipe. So that is what we were more or less doing. That's what you and I are being a Pied Piper, trying to get off all the ills in society. That's the main job of a broadcaster. There's so many things happening in the country, and it's only TV and radio that binds the country together. If the country falls apart tomorrow, you will rely on someone from radio or from television to make the announcement, to introduce the head of state who has just won the election or the one who has just taken over. It's a huge responsibility. At that age, at 19, we had to introduce people like Chief Obafemi Awolowo on TV. We had to introduce people like Akintola, Oladoke Akintola as the premier. And when everything broke down and it all went into smithereens, they brought in Chief Majekodumi as the administrator of the Western region. All this happening before our eyes. There were no other stations in the country except WNTV. And we were there. So we learned quite a lot. In fact, I believe that the whole country revolves around broadcasting. And if you are part of that organization, how would you feel at my age, at 80-something? As young people, perhaps you don't know all this history that I'm telling you about. It's a long, long story. But when you sit down, you have to put it all into perspective. You see that, well, some people are actually meant to be in different positions. Some people are meant to be doctors. Some people are meant to be nurses. For those of us that are in broadcasting, it's a huge responsibility. It's a passion. Sometimes you don't even know how you got there in the first place. Or somebody may have discovered you. It's like being in Hollywood in those days. Someone has to develop, so you have the talent, the latent talent, and then somebody will discover you. So that's how I was discovered by Mr. Mathers at a dinner. I was put in that place because I had won the Miss Western Nigeria contest. If I hadn't done that, I probably would be somewhere in the kitchen washing plates, washing all the dishes. So there you are, if that answers your question. Well, there's no one that actually picks someone and puts you plonk without, I mean, of course, if you don't have any experience on the job, you have no business being there in the first place. But if I had taken part in Pied Piper of Hamelin towns in Brunswick, I was only 13. By famous Hanover City, I was speaking like an English person. When I was only a Nigerian, little girl, being nurtured, by my mother, who was a seamstress. How would you ever get there? But you already have that background, that solid background on the rock, as it were. So, by the time I was ready to go on TV, I had learnt from all the other, people that I mentioned their names earlier, like Anike Agbaje Williams. And I wouldn't say it was easy, because you always have that, butterfly fluttering in front of the camera or wherever. I think I took to television like I was meant to be there, with all humility. If I had been groomed by all these nuns that I have mentioned their names. You know, they came to Nigeria to serve the people. They were not earning salaries, you know. To become a nun, you have to take the oath of obedience, chastity, poverty, and all that. So you're not earning a salary. But whoever is there now is thinking of how much money he's going to get from whatever take comes from here, there, and yonder. So they taught us well. And nobody said you're going to go and appear on TV or you're going to be on radio. But just do what you're meant to do properly, with a lot of sense of responsibility and diligence. And that stands at the back of your mind. That goes everywhere with you, wherever you go in life. Even when I was nursing a sick child, my late son was a sick child. And I was meant to take part in Verdict 79 with my colleagues Kerry Ahmed and Adamu Aogi. They all came with me to the hospital, which is just next door here. And then we came back and mounted the podium and continued our business as if nothing was happening. He didn't die at the time, of course, but the job must go on. That is always there at the back of your mind. So my first night, I wouldn't say that I didn't have any jitters, you know, that I was not nervous. But I was able to deliver, and I think that was the staying power. That was what kept me going, because other people came on board. I was not the only one. All the members of the board had their own, you know, little nephews and nieces that they wanted to project on TV. They all came and they couldn't make it. But Anike and I kept going. And if you gave me a script now, I think I would try and... We didn't have too many, what do you call it then, teleprompters. Well, I was very good at, you know, I had a photographic memory. So I was able to get hold of the script, and in less than 60 seconds, I'll be able to deliver it straight to the camera. That was one of the assets that I had also, which was God's gift. It's not by own might or whatever you think you have. You have the talent, of course, but also there has to be some other little bits of gifts that, you know, will help you to project the image of the professional. A lot of controversy. There is hardly any TV, radio, movie personality that can scale through that without any, because people are watching, people are trying to find their own little, you know, bits of criticism here, there, and yonder. You can't be a goodie, you know, two shoots without, you know, any, how shall I say it, problem here, there, and yonder. So everybody has their own way of looking at people. People say, well, what has she got to do? She went to take part in Miss Western Nigeria the other day. So what's the big deal about her? And then somebody will still add their own salt and pepper here and there. But I was lucky that I was being nurtured by someone like T.O.S. Benson, who was then our Minister for Information. And he felt that, you know, everything should not stop here. There were things happening in America. He made sure that my name was there. I was at the inauguration of President Lyndon Johnson. And we commanded a lot of attention there, myself and my colleague who came from Lagos, the station in Lagos. And for the president to notice that there were two black people sitting behind him at his inaugural ball. I think it was very overwhelming for me because not many black people had invitation to that event. But Charity Adadevo and I were there, and he stood up and shook our hands where we were sitting behind, 3 rows behind the president. Then Kennedy had died, and we were still nursing, we were still feeling very hot about, the loss of Kennedy. And here was the new president coming up. We were not particularly keen on being welcomed by him. But then, things like that happen to you, and it makes headline news. 2 black people, they didn't even say Nigerians. They thought we were from Ghana because some journalists came around and said, "How is your man Nkrumah?" And we said, "No, our own prime minister is Tafawa Balewa." They never heard of him then. But then they had to go and carry out their own study and find out who Tafawa Balewa was. And of course, the whole country was very proud of us that we went and actually stole the show at the inauguration of President Lyndon Johnson. So many other things happened. When I came to London, the British Information Office, they were trying to look for someone to host their program. That has happened to be around, so they picked me to host their program. But you don't ad-lib on any of those stations. Everything is written out. The questions, even your answer will be written. You can change it around a little bit, but they make sure that you said the right thing at the right time. So that was how we were able to gain attention. German television also invited us because they were interested in Nigeria. See how the German chancellor came to Nigeria. That was what happened at the time. In 1963, we had just become a republic then, from being an independent station in 1960. By 1963, we then became a republic. And we were chosen to go and appear on German television in Berlin. And they wanted a little bit of culture. So Benson had his own band. So we were chosen to go and represent Nigeria then. Nobody knew who the ambassador was, but they wanted to know who was presenting something on TV. So that's how important television has been. And that, in fact, we were the first television in the whole of Africa. The very first station, WNTV, that was a call signal. WNTV, first in Africa. There's nothing like that now. Nobody wants to know whether you are first or second. But the station that is being run in Nigeria, I think, has the largest number of stations than any other country in Africa. We have about 21 stations, and now it's still, still counting. And yours is coming on board, and so many others. I think next to America, Nigeria should have been the best country for television broadcasting in the whole world. There's not so many countries in the world that has as many stations as Nigeria. We only have to put our heads together. We only have to find joy in whatever we're doing. Sometimes when it's raining, people say, "Oh, it's raining," and they feel very bad about the rain. But if you look closely, behind that rain, there will be sunshine, there will be something else coming on. You see some silver clouds coming during the rain, but Nigerians don't have the patience to wait for that kind of thing. That's what television teaches you. If you're in the studio, you don't know what's happening outside. You just get on with the job. That's what we were taught. We were taught not by Nigerians. Even when we started, we couldn't go on air and ad-lib. There was always someone there, Mr. Blackledge, to write the script. And if you can commit that to memory and deliver it, they're home and dry. It's not everyone that has a gift, not everyone that has a talent. It's God-given. And if you listen as a child at 17, 18, 19, at my own age, I learned from school, and I was able to impart this into the job. So within a few months, we got double promotion, all of us, because we were doing very well. Anike Agbadi was excellent. Yola Sope was superb, and so many other people reading the news. We were the first female to read the news. Women were not allowed to read the news. Nigeria started it. BBC wouldn't allow a woman to pick up a script and read the news. We were already there. So that's how we were able to gain this global attention that you mentioned. It's not easy. It's not easy. Like I said, when we were taught by, not by Nigerians. But somebody came along the line and said, we don't have to speak like English people. You can just carry on and use your own parochial background. If you are a Robo man, you can speak English the way you like. That was his own idea, because he didn't believe in us doing all this la-di-da and trying to, say things the proper way. But that watered down the standards a bit. Because then everybody, maybe he had a relation who wanted to appear on TV, and he wasn't allowed to because he couldn't speak like Ikenanda Goba or Bojalalade and things like that, or Friday Fode or Mike Nahuru. So somebody must have gone to him and said, because he doesn't speak like any of those people who were taught by, foreign teachers, people who had learned, people who knew what a DJ, we had a Bible then, that you had to pronounce your words correctly. So he came and said, now that I'm DG, I'm not going to tolerate all this, your English way of speaking. And some other people, of course, that watered down the standards. That's not our making. We were still ready to continue the way we were doing, but then they pushed us to the background. But there were others who were able to perform well. Ruth Benamesia, Opia, Sienna Weber, and of course Bimbo Oloyede, who was born in England. If you already employed those people to deliver the goods and to present your programs, you're not going to sack all of them because they speak with English accent. I don't see how that can be an offense. Cannot be, guilty of speaking English well, like the English people. But they then brought out other people. And you had the head of presentation. I became head of the presentation after I came under Guba. And you're trying to prepare your roster. You wanted to put such people online to read the network news. They say, okay, bring somebody who can speak like Gerard Didu and do a little bit of a on the side. It's part of our culture. So that is what is happening to TV broadcasting in Nigeria. It's all very interesting. So, this cultural milieu and bringing, a touch of Nigeria. Nigeria is doing well. That aspect in the music world, I think we're leading. Some of us who grew up on Handel's Messiah and Mozart, we have to sort of put our hands behind our back now and watch, all the way things have turned around. And Nigerian music is doing well. Afrobeat is reigning everywhere in the world. So really you can't find faults with that. So when they watch a bit of Fela and his children and all his grandchildren doing well, then listen to the channels on TV, you have to take what you get from there as well. If somebody can wake up one day and say, why should your station be called the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation? I say it should now be Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. Tongue twisting. Takes a long time to come to terms with. If everyone wake up in the morning and say, this is Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation, you have the call signal. Da 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 da. This is the Nigerian Broadcasting whatever. How are you going to put that, into context with the new one? First of all, when you wake up, you don't know whether you are even coming out from the right side of your bed or not. You are going to have to face your audience and say, we are no more the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation. We are now federal, whatever, which you don't even know where the man, who came up with the idea. He didn't even consult you, didn't even put it to test. If the British corporation, they are going to change from BBC after 100 years, they will ask the whole nation, they will say, where are we going to take this from? They will ask everybody, they will do a census, they will do all kinds of things, carry out all kinds of tests to see whether people will accept it from them. No. Nigerians are very hard and cut and dry. This is the way I want it. I'm the head of state, so I can change everything now, and all of you can start marching forward and march back again. Soldier go, soldier come. I think Fela would have been a good head of state for Nigeria, because he would have got some people marching the right way. So, I think that is what has happened to this country. But we will still settle down. The soldiers that have been marching since, they will do attention one day. And then we'll be able to sort ourselves out gradually. I think we're going through the right process now. People are beginning to find their own feet. If things go around, price of goods go up, Nigerians will find a way to come to terms with that. When we were growing up, everything was done. We won't say according to the colonial rules and regulations, but at least there were standards that were set down for you and things that you had to toe the line. This is the proper way to do things. But if somebody says, no, let's turn around and turn it upside down. First attack. It's the only thing that has happened to the whole world from Nigeria, that shook the whole world, that brought everybody attention. You see what Africa has to offer the whole world. It happened here on this soil in Nigeria. I was a member of the ceremonial committee. I remember the opening ceremony. There were about 15 heads of state. We've never had anything like that since then. That is what we should ask ourselves. Every head of state that takes over from Nigeria should find out again. It's not from broadcasting that you can get the answer. You can get the answer from technocrats who had worked in all those areas. What happened? How come it couldn't happen again? It's like Armageddon. Every country was represented. Every culture was represented. Miriam Akiva was watching us and called us at the station one day and said, even from the way we linked programs, they couldn't expect that it could be happening in Nigeria. We received phone calls. People were sending us bottles of champagne on the air. The links. Bimbo Oloyede was there with me. I was at the opening ceremony. I was yanked from there to come back to the station. From, interacting with the head of state or with our head of state at the time, to come and man the station, because it was phenomenal. How come we've not been able to do it? 77 years, how long ago was that? I was only 37 years old then. I'm going on 90 now. It hasn't happened again. We should examine that. Even the head of state that was there is still alive. Let's ask him again. Let us put him down and say, Oga, please explain to us what happened. Some people came up with a theory that the symbol that was used was fetish, that is what has happened and Nigeria has turned upside down. If that is acceptable, may be superstitious in your eyes, but let us find out. Let's go call the Babalawo. Is it bad that it is a Nigerian that carved this image? And it is making news outside the world. Now you say, no, it is not good that Nigeria should be able to project an image that would attract the whole world, something that will bring everybody on their knees. After the first attack, we were still recovering, just bathing in the glory of first attack. What's this artist, the blind one, who was not part of it, who didn't believe in it? He came and had his own first attack all on his own from America. Stevie Wonder, he came with his whole team. We had to mount all the cameras back in the studio for him. He had his own 7-day festival here in Nigeria. What prompted him to do that? Other people came. They wanted to know what was happening in Nigeria. What has happened? We couldn't have another festival since then. What do you think went wrong? Nothing went wrong. Everything went so well that people wanted to destroy our own Nigerian people. Wanted to destroy the glory that's this whole thing that's emanated from it. It hit the whole world. People are asking, when you go to Britain, you say, what happened? Why aren't you having? I had a friend who was head of the, he was from the British Guyana, a black guy. He was friends with everybody. He knew all Nigerians. He said, what happened? Why are we going to have another festa? Professor Ian Hall, he keeps asking me. Even if we can't have it because it was very expensive. Anyway, Nigeria had all the money. Even though we had a coup after, you know, it was first of all the brainchild of Gawan. And then Muritala came on board. Muritala was killed. But in spite of that, they couldn't kill that dream of having a festa in Nigeria. If we are able to bring out all those programs again, I think we'll be able to answer those questions. I'm still alive. There are a lot of people who will still want to know the answer to that. It's a very, very brilliant question that you have asked. I think if it was another country, we'll set up an inquiry and say, what happened? Can we resuscitate this whole dream? Some of the tapes that we had then in WNTV, some people put them in one place and set fire to them because they felt maybe somebody in their religious organization said, you are the one projecting all these things, so Nigerians are bringing idols around. Who gave them the idea to make the idol? It's God now. It's from God. Whatever thing you were able to put together. The Bible was put together because God loved the world so much and He wanted us to learn about, things that had gone out from the time of Adam and Eve. God loved the whole world and created Muhammad and said, put people together and let them say Allah Kubaru every day, morning, noon, night. God created so many wonderful things for us, so many images that we can imbibe from, so many things that we can learn from. People want to come and learn about our country. Instead, we say, we want our sculptures back. What are you going to do with them? You don't have a museum where you're going to put them to make them thrive and people come here to Nigeria. It's a good idea for them to come, but if they learn about your country, what your people have done over the past 2,000 years. 2,000 years of Nigeria image was put together by the BBC. Nigeria went and tore it up in shreds. They tore it up. Said, what are you doing with that? What you call bad belly? I don't know if anybody sang a song with that title. If we maybe start from there and say, what do you do with your own bad belly? Some people,